Welcome everybody to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you may or may not know, we are the 1 Million by 1 Million initiative. It's a global virtual incubator. At this point, we are the only global virtual incubator operating in all corners of the world. You can basically dial online into 1M1M from Timbuktu, we have people coming from Iceland, from Africa, from Malaysia, from literally every corner of the world. So welcome. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs around the world reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue, thereby building $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs. That's the mission, and that mission is completely predicated upon you, people who are attending this session. Presumably you are either entrepreneurs, practicing entrepreneurs, or aspiring entrepreneurs, you being successful in building successful businesses. So our existence is entirely in support of your success as entrepreneurs. So today is Valentine's Day, so first and foremost, let me wish you a happy Valentine's Day. And for those of you who are looking for a Valentine, maybe you'll find somebody here in the room today. There's no reason not to introduce yourselves. We are doing our 161st session today, by the way. So we've been around. We've been doing these for a long, long, long time. And obviously, you know, people seem to like us, which is why we are here for so long. And you will have a recording of the session available both on my blog as well as on our YouTube channel, of which I will give you the information in a minute. If you're live tweeting the show, please use the hashtag 1M1M, and our two Twitter handles are at 1M by 1M and at Sramana. Please feel free to follow those. We have a very active Twitter channel with very, very heavy duty, great quality content. So if you're trying to learn various pieces of entrepreneurship, this channel is really a very rich resource. The YouTube channel, by the way, is at 1M1M Roundtables, and that has numerous recordings of these kinds of sessions, which are educative in their own capacity. We also have great cartoons, so there's a wonderful playlist of cartoons in the YouTube channel, and also 1M1M FAQs. So we are starting with whom? We're starting with Trevi. Who is the presenter for Trevi?
Hi, Sramana. This is Nav here. I'm calling in from Seattle, Washington.
What is your name? You didn't put the name.
Nav.
Nav?
Yeah, Nav as a navigator.
Nav?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right. Why didn't you put your name on your slide?
I thought we did, but maybe not. I'm so sorry about it.
And then I thought this was you, and then I hear a male voice. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so here we go. And thanks a lot for giving us the opportunity to pitch today. This is really great.
So tell us what you're doing with Trevi.
So Trevi, when we were developing Trevi, you know, we always had that feeling in our smartphone dictated life, you know, the Michaela Marini not impressed feeling when it comes to photo viewing in organization apps. They are, number one, either broken, or number two, they are very complex to manage. You might have seen that overall, the iPhone has become the world's most popular camera.
Yes.
And while it is so simple to snap photos, what you do with the photos after you share them or don't share on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media is completely unknown. And there is no app that currently creates a valuable experience out of your personal photo collection. Well,
so let me ask you a simple question here. You know, my iPhone and all other cameras that I use go straight into my iPhoto library. I put everything into iPhoto. Is that not a normal behavior?
That is a normal behavior, but the camera roll or the iPhone default camera, like the photo application, it does not give you a lot of flexibility overall to view your pictures in different organizational, I mean, you can see them only in, pardon? I'm sorry?
On the mobile phone itself.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
So here I am to talk to you about Trevi, the app that I've created to help you discover your photos through the lens of travel, as we say. So what is Trevi? Trevi is a photo viewing and organization app that automatically scans your photos and allows you to create, travel timelines. You can create your world travel map. You can view your photo albums based on the places that you have been. And last but not the least, if you see on the extreme right iPhone icon, these are all shareable as stunning postcards. So you can share them as postcards too. It is a really powerful yet a really, really user-friendly app, and it packs a lot of power in its execution. It starts by scanning. I'm sorry?
It's a digital postcard?
Yes. You can also create physical postcards and have them emailed to your contacts. You can do that too.
Okay. All right.
So the Trevi experience, it all starts by scanning all your pictures in your photo library, and once scanned, it puts into albums, and then it creates like different viewing experiences. And on this slide, you see the multi-platform experience. So we realize that your photo experiences are meant to be shared, and that's why we have built an ecosystem to engage our users as well as their friends. And the step which goes in here is you share your local library onto the Facebook app, which creates your travel maps, and then you can see. This is something which you will have to do manually if you're using either TripAdvisor or GoGoBot, other competitors in the space.
That's right.
So if we go to the next slide. So what we have done here is we have gathered a lot of users as of date. If you see overall, we have organized more than 2.5 million photos, and we are on track to reach 3.5 million by the end of this month. We have had over 10,000 cities, and on the iTunes store, in 28 countries, we have reached the top 10 in travel.
Awesome.
And thank you. And the map which you see below, that map is the user heat map of the top cities where we have had Trevi engagement throughout the world.
Okay.
And as far as you see, what we have gathered until now, we have been featured on the iTunes homepage itself in November. Currently, it's now almost 5th week in a row that we are featured on iTunes travel page, and Free App Magic has featured us like multiple times. Of course, this has given us a lot of downloads and a very good amount of user interaction.
So and I have to ask you the million-dollar question. If it's a free app, where is the money?
There you go. So we have had a few ideas, and we are still working on it. One of the options which we were thinking about was making the app itself paid. However, once you make paid, between the free, there is a drop in the number of downloads. So we are evaluating other opportunities, such as we are talking with Booking.com to see if we can put in their sponsored links on our travel map itself. So people who book using the OTAs or the online travel agency are able to share that with their friends and maybe get more interaction. That's one. And we also have one revenue model which is there in place currently, which is if you share a physical postcard, then between our partners and us, we get a rev share of the physical postcard.
But how many people share physical postcards?
Well, as of now, the interaction, like for every download, we have seen 5% effectively the people who share physical postcards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how much money does that generate for you?
Not a lot because we are selling the postcards today at $2, so we get like close to 70% of that. I mean, so far our revenue stream has not topped like $10,000, so we're still bootstrapping it for the most part.
So, the idea that you suggested of doing something with bookings.com,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crazy about it because part of the issue here is in the order of things, right? People do the booking before they start using your application.
Correct. So when we say, yeah, I'm sorry. So when we say partnering with Booking.com or other OTAs, it's not for us. So when you share your travel postcard, so people also share, you can share travel postcards as well as travel maps. We intend to put the sponsored links on those digital postcards or the digital travel maps itself.
I see. So that's a sponsorship. They're going to...
Right, and that's what they are interested in.
Advertising model,
so
basically. You're advertising Booking.com through your digital postcards and so forth.
That is correct.
Well, the most common way people are monetizing free apps is through advertising, and then, if people don't want the advertisements, then you offer them to buy the program, buy the application, and then the advertisements go away. That's been the traditional. If you look at Scrabble and any other free app that operates in that mode, basically you can make all the ads go away if there is if you buy the app.
Right, and I totally agree with you. It's just that for the initial, we launched our app in July, and among the four of us who helped launch the app, our goal was to see how sticky the users are before we put any ads there. But now that we have gotten a lot of downloads, now we are thinking more about, okay, is this a valid business to say? And now we are thinking about doing something about it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you sustain yourselves? Do you have other jobs, or July to February is a fair amount of time?
Right. So if you go to the next slide, I can talk about ourselves. So this is my entire team. Ryan and myself, we started the company. We both have full-time jobs, and then we work from 7 to 3 every day. So Ryan and I both have CS background. We got our MBAs. So during the daytime, we do business development marketing, and then in the nighttime, what we do is code. Yoni is our full-time, not full-time, he's our master developer. He works at Yelp too. And then Sanjay, he is also working as an iOS and web developer at Yelp. So yes, we all have full-time jobs, but this is something we are really passionate about.
Okay. Well, let's keep your full-time jobs until you've figured out the monetization model.
Yes, definitely.
The kinds of backgrounds you have to be able to support that kind of an expensive team with revenues is going to take time.
That is so true. Yep.
So I'll give you a little bit of my bias. I kind of prefer paid apps to free apps from a business point of view. Even if it converts a smaller amount, it starts generating money, and I think you have quite a bit of, or the other option is are there features that you can log down that people need to pay for to get to? Somehow or the other, you have to start charging people who are using this. Or you can cap up, like if you've shared that many, you give a certain number of photo sharing for free, and beyond that you charge. Somehow or the other, this needs to turn into a money-generating business.
Right. Actually, you have a really valid point there. What we have seen is, of our users, almost 7 to 10% of them are having more than 1,500 photos that we organize. So I think that's a really good idea where you can cap it, and for those 7% have them pay more.
Yeah, get them hooked and then start charging them.
Got it. Yep, that's our goal.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is geolocal. Is that how you say it?
Yes, it is. Geolocal.
All right. Is that Ronnie?
Yes, Sramana, how are you?
I'm good. All right. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Thanks a lot, Sramana. Last year, I was in the process of creating a crowdsourced free parking finder app, and every single challenge that I faced from a development perspective, monetization perspective, and also really usage and uptake of the app itself is what transformed into Geolocal, this platform. So we're not going to be ever as sexy as the app before or any other cool app that everyone knows about. We'll always be a platform that sits in the back end and actually powers all location-based solutions, be it end-to-end solutions or whatever have you. Anyway, so that's our story. It's co-founded by two people, myself and Amia, my ex-colleague. The next slide, please. So we looked at the opportunity. Again, this is a top-down, and you know very well, top-down doesn't mean a whole lot. Huge market out there from global location-based advertising market and location-based services market. However, what's interesting is even though those dollar values don't apply to us, what's interesting is to see the trends that are happening. We see carriers are moving towards M2M applications and geo-targeted commerce. Developers are rushing towards geo-targeted ad revenues. Advertisers, brands, everyone's jumping on this hyper-local solo-mo bandwagon. Next slide, please. So we figured, okay, everyone's going to need an easy way to integrate location and create value-added services on top of location. And by the way, when I was creating the Parking Finder app, it was so difficult to integrate location and perfect it, etc. So we came up with this platform, and I'll go into details of what we're doing. We're helping the developers, publishers, advertisers, end-to-end programmers create cool location-based solutions. Bottom up, the way we looked at it, 6.5 billion mobile devices, even if we can get 0.001% of opt-in, and you can use our platform even if you don't opt in, our goal is year one revenues to get to $950K. And I'll explain how we make money. Next slide, please. So the platform as a service that we're providing, you can build location-aware solutions with. You can test your location-aware solutions across the world. That is the patent-pending part, which is the location simulation piece of the platform. You can geo-target, geo-fencing, and all of that cool stuff as much as you want. We have put in features that even some of our customers who came over from our competitors looked at us and said, oh my God, what have you done? This is amazing. Very cool stuff. So there's solutions for developers, there's solutions for advertisers and carriers. Next slide, please. Going back to customer validation, which we have already made a mistake. We created the platform before actually asking for dollar value savings from each customer. And I'll ask you a few questions. Those are some of the challenges we're also facing right now. So validations that we have received is every single mobile application developer that we've talked to, and these large outsourcing mobility testing units like the big outsourcing firms, they all get these large mobile application testing contracts but have no real way to test it other than field testing it. We even talked to a navigational applications company. Even they had no way to test their applications other than field testing it. So that was a great validation for our location simulation platform. For geo-targeting, we talked to multiple application development firms, and they are really gung-ho about the platform and the features available. Individual mobile application developers, the ones that feel the pain the most, where they want to release an app and users don't even want to pay 99 cents, but it takes them 6 months to actually perfect their application. Again, we didn't do the dollar savings quoted from any of these existing customers. So that's one mistake we had made. Next slide, please. We had initially concentrated on our marketing and customer acquisition plan as being inbound marketing the most. So we had said we are going to be the lowest touch kind of model, hubs, like imagine the HubSpots, the JBosses, Constant Contact, the way they build their companies. But what we are finding is part of the system and OEMs. Sorry, you're shaking your head. Go ahead.
It's not going to work.
Got it. That's what we're finding. Those are the really lower cash value ones, but I'm finding in my network, every single large opportunity that is coming in is all through my extended sales network. It's all OEM, all partner.
Platform, right? It's an unproven platform. Nobody really knows about it. Before you can get to marketing with something like this, before you can get marketing, especially inbound marketing, to work for you, have to sell and create reference accounts and, you know, create traction, basically, create validation.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it just flipped around because I had thought initially inbound is going to be the biggest. Partner ecosystem, it's a very high, I mean, it's pretty high touch. It's going to be the second most, and outbound is going to be the last one to do. But it seems like I'm spending all my time in partner ecosystem ones, and that's where we're getting the biggest traction.
Yeah, I could have told you that, yeah, sure.
We should have talked like 6 months before, right? So competition, we took a look at the competition. We're pretty much ahead of almost all of these competitors when it comes to features functionality. However, they have years on top of us.
Yeah. And
that's a challenge. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And customers.
Yeah, and customers ahead of us. Yes, we are converting some of the customers over from, for example, geolocation, and one big firm has expressed interest in looking at us instead of Placecast. But again, they have mature markets and customers in front of us. Next slide, please.
That's not necessarily a bad thing if you can position if your competitive positioning is sufficiently strong and it speaks to the pain points of their customers, then and the exit barrier is not too high. It depends on how high the exit barrier is. I haven't really studied the dynamics of your business. You have, so you have to answer that question. Is the exit barrier very high? If not, and if they have real pain points using somebody else's solutions, that actually is a very, very smart strategy to go in this kind of conversion business from competitors. I've used that strategy in various businesses that I have been involved in very effectively.
We looked at the exit barriers. We think it's not that high, but the first real conversion that's going to happen from one of these major customers is what's going to tell us.
Yeah.
So we know there's going to be some kind of an exit barrier, but for example, the ones that are coming over from geolocation, the exit barrier is like nothing at all. But it's more involved, and we'll find out more.
How many customers does geolocation have?
They claim to have close to 1,000, but they might be all application developers. One of the biggest things that we had found was everyone was complaining about pricing and the feature set that's available for that pricing. So yesterday we had a chat with another one of those customers who converted over. The first thing they said is, number one, the price and the amount of features you get for that price on your platform run is just, I mean, you had me at Polygon geofences because geolocation didn't do anything.
That's all very good news. The real question there is the exit barrier question. If there is low exit barrier and geolocation has 1,000 customers, that's a great segmentation.
That's a great segmentation. It's just a matter of finding out if they are actually converting. So.
Yeah. And the same thing applies to the others. You probably have less experience with the others, but certainly, you know, if you can really strongly position yourself competitively against these competitors and the exit barrier is low, you can definitely penetrate the market through their customers.
Sounds good. And that's going to be the attempt right now. That's why everything that's happening is really my sales relationships. And like you have already talked about, this is going to be something that's going to be high touch initially.
Yeah.
And it is turning out to be.
The next couple of years, you're in a high touch sales mode. There is no, you know, inbound marketing may get you leads, but you're going to have to still sell them. Yeah.
That's what we're finding. I did put in this slide. I don't know if you want me to talk about it or not. Very typical business model canvas slide, which you might recognize anyway.
If you want to, focus on what you want, where you need the maximum input.
So in that case, let's just move on to the next slides where the questions are really around this. What we are seeing is low number of customer signups, and what we are seeing a lot is customers are signing up. I mean, prospects are signing up, but since there's a free aspect to the platform, which is limited by the total number of API calls, they seem to be taking their time to, use the platform. So yes, we have considered even removing the free signups and moving more towards a trial period kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I wanted to ask you about. Another challenge I'm facing right now is keeping the development team engaged and encouraged. I don't want them to keep building functionality willy-nilly. So yes, we made a mistake of being in stealth and beta before actually acquiring alpha customers.
Yeah.
How do we address that right now? And the final one is, as you know, SaaS revenues versus the infrastructure and development costs, they have an inverse relationship, and cost of customer acquisition versus SaaS revenues. There's quite a bit to be said about that.
Yeah.
Those are the questions I had.
It's extremely important that you sign up at least a few customers ASAP from every point of view, from validation point of view, from sustenance point of view, from cash point of view, all of those. So what, based on the conversations you're having right now, who are the most likely ones that can actually turn into paying customers? And what is the profile of those?
All large enterprises, and that exactly is a good thing and a bad thing. Large enterprises, mobile application development firms, value-added services firms for telecom providers, insurance company.
But you're wrapping out all sorts of segments. Tell me, by name and by segment, can you zero in on, okay, this is my absolute hottest lead list?
Hottest well, I would say lead list versus actually conversations that are going on right now.
Hot leads are leads that are likely to close, that are further down in the funnel. So who are these customers who are the closest to closing?
Closest to closing would be, the biggest one would be a mobile application development firm that's coming from creating an m-commerce targeted m-commerce application. That's
and what
one.
is forecasted deal size on that one?
$4K per month.
$4K per month?
Yeah.
What is your burn rate?
It's about close to $20K per month.
Oof. Okay, so you need 5 of.
Yeah. Well, at a bare minimum, I need 5 of those. And the other conversations are way too early to forecast the volume and the dollar value.
Okay. What I want you to do is actually, the easiest way for me to help you is actually helping you move those deals. So whatever your lead list, the hot lead list, whatever like the closest to closing, you should put together, the specifics of those deals, exactly where things are, and we should just do deal strategy.
Sure.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Emily Fredericks, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Exeter, New Hampshire. Are you there, Emily?
I am. I'm just unmuting myself. And thank you first for having me, and thank you to everyone else who is joining us today and participating in that panel. My training is in bilingual education, and one of the frustrations that I found in that was that there are still very limited Spanish education resources in the United States. And at the same time, we have a huge growing population and a demand that will very quickly expand for that. I put the product slide first, so I guess I'll backtrack from the market, and we'll talk about the product a little bit first.
My first feedback to you is don't ever put this much text on a slide. You have to explain in 5 to 7 words what you do. So I think what I gathered is you're trying to do Spanish language educational content, yes?
Yes.
And what for free for K through 12, pre-K through 12, where are you positioning the company?
Pre-K through 12, and it pushes multimedia through online portals.
Pre-K through 12 doesn't believe in lectures, right? You have lecture videos. How can you lecture to pre-K through 12?
Well, that's where a lot of the multimedia that is available is very limited. It tends to all be exactly lectures, except that it's on your computer screen instead of a professor in front of you. And rather than using a whiteboard or a chalkboard, they're using the computer screen, but same pedagogy. So
I mean,
this product,
children, but a 3-year-old is not going to listen to lectures, I assume, right?
yeah. I mean, the younger the children, the more. So this portal, we do have some lecture videos for the older children. There are by far more sort of film videos that are more like videos, educational videos for children that would have animated content for the very young children, and for older children might have, for example, 3D narrated movies, computer animations of a cell, for example.
So what is the band of your reach? So you talk, when you say pre-K through 12, what age groups are you working with? And when you say older children, what does that mean? Because I want you to be
older
very
children
and forget about all other segments except the segment that you're going after.
Sure. So we're talking about age 3 to 18. Older children would be high school. So that's grades 9 through 12.
You should not have anything to do with that. If you're going to do pre-K through 12, you should do just pre-K through 12. You should just do what, ages 3 to 5 or something like that. Maybe ages 3 to 6, or 2 to 6. But what is high school doing here?
Well, a lot of school districts, for example, look for pre-K through 12 solutions.
That is not the point. That is not how you build a company. If you want to build a company, you have to focus on a target segment, a target market segment, and do everything. Do your product, do your customer acquisition, do your entire business strategy around that focus. And you are currently, just in one slide, you've presented something that is completely all over the place.
Okay. So K through 5 then would be my larger target.
Not K through 5. It's age group. If you're talking about pre-K, then you're talking about age group 3 to 5 or 2 to 5.
So I'm saying then that my better market would be children in grades K through 5, which would be, since this is marketed to schools, it would be based on grade as opposed to children's ages.
Okay,
it's a product for schools.
That's it. And you forget about everything else. It's just K through 5. And everything else should be designed around that premise that you're only catering to K through 5.
All right. So within sort of education world, what is being used in classrooms that teach in Spanish are translated textbooks, children's fiction and non-fiction library books. There are encyclopedias available in Spanish, and the websites that are educational websites in Spanish are incredibly limited, and each have very little content, and it's not well organized. It's sort of a hit or miss deal. And as a teacher, none of these resources stand alone serve you. And so a lot of teachers, are always desperate for looking for resources, and they end up sometimes having to use English and translating it themselves, or having the children translate from English to Spanish in a dual language classroom. And these are not effective, not good teaching practices, and so they're really not ideal, and teachers are aware of that. Your average children's book, just a simple library book, costs $20, and a textbook costs $105. Your average K-5 classroom has usually 2 textbooks per student. So within a single classroom, say there's 25 students, we're talking at $210 per student, so over $4,000 per classroom that is being spent on textbooks. And we have to assume that those textbooks have to get replaced every couple of years.
And this this analysis that you provide is very helpful. what is being taught? Is it the language itself being taught then here?
No, these are dual language classrooms where content is being taught in more than one language. So they are either classrooms where you have mixtures of English and Spanish-speaking children who are learning the languages from each other while simultaneously learning to read, write, learn science, math. Or you have children who are Spanish-speaking and who are slowly learning English, but at the same time learning math and science and to read and write in Spanish first so that they don't lose out on several years of education for not being able to speak English.
I see. Okay.
So, you know, there's a huge focus right now on, particularly on English language learners and their test scores, and a lot of research that is showing that students who are English language learners learn best if they learn in their native language first. So there's a lot of scientific research that has been building steadily and is really reaching a more persuasive point, and there's also sort of been a turn in U.S. politics where bilingualism is really being heralded as a skill. And if we go to the sort of next slide, we see that middle to upper class families are enrolling their children in bilingual programs, and so there's a movement towards having more bilingual classrooms. There are currently more than 421 programs in the U.S. that teach all of these math, science, so forth in Spanish, yet there are over 4 million Spanish-dominant school children in the United States.
Okay.
Spanish is also the most popular foreign language studied in the United States, and that's where sort of the K-12 piece fits in, is that the customer base, I'm afraid, would be too small if I keep it to K to 5, but by expanding it through grade 12, you have, we would gain not only all of these children who moved to the United States as older children and may have had a lot of education, but only speak Spanish, and so they have a different.
You have to start somewhere. You cannot cater to multiple segments at once. You're going to have to start somewhere.
Okay.
So I think you're going to need to find what is the K through 5 market size, and how does that market shake out when you do this analysis. How many of these 421 programs that educate students in Spanish, how many of those apply to the K through 5 segment, and see where your penetration points are?
I would say all of them. All 421 have to begin with K through 12, and then where, sort of having done the math, I came up with about 800,000 annual revenue just looking at K through 5 schools, and that would assume a 30% acquisition rate. So if I can contract with 30% of the schools, that would be 800,000 annual revenue. That's where.
So what is your business model? What are you selling to them, and at what price point? And whom are you selling to the schools, or are you selling to the parents?
Selling to the schools, selling through the administration and through the teachers. And the product is an online education portal. So when you log in, you have links to thousands upon thousands of resources in Spanish, from videos to articles to images, and it has all been pre-selected and is educationally reviewed, so that you know that all of the content is secure as well as accurate. So you could send children into that portal. It's much safer than having your students use Google, for example, or other search engines as a resource when they're doing research, which is something that is done in the K through 5 grades currently. As we do commonly send 4th, 5th graders to do their own research, and that portal also would be organized not only by subject, so you could search, for example, dinosaurs. You could also search by materials that are appropriate for 2nd graders, say that you are looking for a new unit to design, and you can search by national standards. And we would be unique in the market by...
These contents, are you producing this, or are you curating them? Where is the content coming from?
It's largely being curated. and it is actually, it's based on a service that, or a company that is in South America here that I've been in conversation with, where they basically provide this service to South American schools, but it is, it's not yet really appropriate for the American audience entirely, because the American audience, you're going to have children at different levels than you would have in South America, and our our curriculum is also slightly different, so things need to be organized in different ways, and it's mainly the organization of content. It would be adding some additional content, but that's a smaller piece of the picture. And having been in conversation with them, they are not interested in expanding to the U.S. market on their own initiative.
At a basic level, you are licensing content from a South American company, which means that there is going to be some level of licensing fee involved.
Yes.
Okay.
At this point, in initial conversation, we had been talking about a sort of a per sale based fee where they take a certain percentage,
right,
as opposed to an all-out buyout. So the competitors that are
to the people who produce the content.
So they produce all of their own content.
Yeah, I'm saying,
except
if you are going to use their content, you have to pay a royalty fee to them.
Correct.
Okay.
So then the competitors that are available out there that provide, when I say localized, meaning a significant amount of content in one space, online in Spanish, there are, a couple available here, 4 different competitors, but they all have very major flaws. Educatina, for example, is all video lecture based, so it's not appropriate for younger children. It's not very good, it's not within best practice of teaching to have all lecture-based, especially for younger children, and it's very difficult as a teacher to use because it's all organized by subject and not by age or particular skill. So a 3rd grader is going to be learning very different information about dinosaurs than a 12th grader. So it's really more of a homework help tutoring site. Blackboard, which is the major provider of platforms in the States, is very expensive, and it has so much technology that I don't know of any schools that are using sort of all the technology that they've made available, having just recently graduated from Hunter University, which is a leading teacher college, Hunter College, and also in speaking with both Yale and Harvard, where I have connections in their technology departments. Their content is focused towards higher education. Where it is K through 12, it's really reliant on textbooks, and they are advertising that they will be having Spanish content. It's not yet available. They do have a free version, but it has no content. It is strictly a platform. It's strictly a website.
Blackboard to do the same deal that you're trying to do with the South American content provider and resell their content.
I mean, I've had conversations with the South American provider, and they're not. I was the first to approach them sort of with this idea of there's a huge demand in the United States. Why aren't you there?
But if you put yourself in their shoes, you don't really have any channel. Blackboard has a channel. The minute Blackboard comes to them, they're going to want to work with Blackboard. So how are you going to, what is your counter move if that happens?
My counter move, I guess, is that I'm not going to charge nearly as high as take away nearly the same amount of profit from them as Blackboard would, because Blackboard is a very large, high-maintenance company. It's expensive to run as well.
Don't underestimate you have no idea how expensive and how complicated it is to actually sell technology to schools. And Blackboard is one of the very few companies that has established a successful channel selling into schools. And that channel is incredibly valuable. So even if they do charge more, they will make it up in volume. And for you, I think one thing you should think about is how are you going to sell? So, I think what you're presenting is an opportunity, yes, but I am not convinced about how you cater to that opportunity. I have not heard a compelling pitch of how you cater to that opportunity yet.
Okay. So the monetization model comes through annual subscriptions, available sort of, I was suggested pricing would be about $6,700 per 100 users, and also individual subscriptions would be available, so parents could purchase it for use at home with their child. Individual teachers could purchase it.
So let me stop you right there and give you some pointers that you need to understand here. You kind of based this pricing on the basis of textbook pricing and so forth. Well, textbooks are not bought by the schools, right? Textbooks are bought by the parents.
No, in the United States, textbooks are purchased by the schools up until the grade 12.
In the public schools?
In the public schools and in the private schools as well. Having taught in private schools, at least in the elementary grades, certainly, the school provides all of the textbooks.
Okay.
So it would be, to begin with, it would be really direct sales to large bilingual schools, schools where I have a personal connection, and then focusing sort of marketing directly to these schools that are either very large districts or focusing on areas where there's a very large English language learner population, so it's all geographically focused. It would be very low marketing costs initially, where it would be a lot of direct contacts. This is public.
Low marketing costs, the sales is going to be extremely high.
Sorry, could you say that one more time?
Marketing cost may be low, the cost of sales is going to be extremely high.
Yes, it would be a fair amount of bootstrapping to begin with, definitely. And
how many schools have you talked to who are they willing to buy what you are suggesting you want to sell at the price point?
I've had, so far I've only had 2 conversations with schools in the United States, and one was interested in purchasing. We didn't go as far as talking about price because I was more interested in having a model school and getting customer validation before talking about making a sale. Because at this point, that's a big issue.
Includes the fact that they're willing to pay something, and you need to understand how much they're willing to pay. And you need to talk to a lot more schools to get customer validation, including pricing model validation. So that's your next step. Go talk to schools, and then I think then the other question that I raised, you need to think it through, is what happens if Blackboard decides to go work with the same company? You're going to counter that. Okay.
Sure.
I have
Thank
to
you.
Enter.
Okay.
This is not financeable at this point. Where you are right now, this company is not financeable. So you have to bootstrap.
All right. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Curated World. Kay, you're up next.
Hi, how are you? Thank you, Pat. Can you hear me?
Tell us what you do.
Hi, thanks for having me today. So I apologize. My slide deck is an investor slide deck from a longer presentation, so I'll jump through most of the slides pretty quickly. So my first slide just has my contact information. Slide 2. So I'm Kay McGowan, and I'm the founder of A Curated World. It's important to show that I have a lot of industry experience. For the past 14 years, I ran a direct importer, retailer, and wholesaler of unique products from around the world, home furnishings, carpets and rugs, etc. So my experience has always been the handicraft market. Sorry, you made me nervous. So A Curated World, last year I left my company and I launched A Curated World. We are an e-commerce site, and we are providing a discerning customer base access and discovery. There's a whole idea of discovery of high-quality, handcrafted home and lifestyle goods that are sourced from around the world. We merchandise our site, both our content and our product, around one international city at a time. If you're on three, sorry, one international city at a time. And we're featuring designers and artisans within the community. So we're really trying to look at an individual city as a whole, tell its whole story, and at its core, tell the stories of the people and places that are behind the products that our customers are purchasing from us. Slide 4. I've spent so much time discussing.
I'm going to stop you for a moment. This presentation is useless for a forum like this because you can't read the slides and you have too much text. You should put just a few bullet points to convey your point. Right now, you're saying a bunch of things. The slides are absolutely useless. So go ahead.
Yes, sorry about that. So as I indicated, this is from a longer presentation. So if maybe not you, but if somebody else in the audience is interested in it, I can email it in email form. But so moving on, if you want to go to slide 4, that's a visual might be a little more helpful.
Yep.
So my this discerning customer base is really about uniqueness, quality of product, and an authentic experience today. That is a huge trend in the high-end market. And so what we are creating is this uniquely personal online experience by harnessing the power, immediacy, and real intimacy of video storytelling and combining that with a strong editorial voice and the e-commerce component. So, I don't know, let's see what slide 5. This is slide 5, so that's a page from our prototype site, which is live. Slide 6 just quickly looks at the handicraft market as a whole. 2 factors. It's the fastest growing sector within the home goods market, and also the home goods market is the fastest growing e-commerce, one of the fastest growing e-commerce sectors. So we're sort of playing off of that. If you go to slide 7, and again, yes, it is a lot of text, my apologies. What I was looking at is sort of trends on both the consumer side and the supply chain side. On the consumer side, you have this emergence of, as I say, a global aesthetic that's sort of taking hold. You've also got a turning away of mass production, which is allowing companies, of course, things like Etsy and Custom Made, which is here in Boston where I am, Bricka, which is a new site out of Toronto, this storytelling around maker population rather than mass production. There's also a willingness sort of to that authentic e-commerce experience and looking beyond just price and accessibility. There's actually more of a discovery side that's really coming out of it. And then on the supply chain side, which, as I said, I spent my career with, there's this growing sophistication in this producer market. So they, too, are sort of embracing their small batch capabilities, a high-quality small batch manufacturing that really is relying on an artisan community, and also turning away from mass production deals, which often are not long-term beneficial financial deals for small producers. And there's also a lot more government support.
What kind of, so this you have to kind of do this city by city or culture by culture. When you talked about Marrakesh, so you have to kind of, basically look at the artisans, really differentiated artisans, because you land in Morocco, there's a bunch of junk also.
Yes, I've dealt with the high-end producers for the last 14 years. So I think what I really bring to it is an ability to understand production and understand what's going to happen with that product through use and wear and whatnot, and being able to understand, one, the artisan or the designer's sophistication, understand production capabilities, and also being able to fulfill orders. And that's the supply chain that I've dealt with all these years. It's certainly a supply chain that people are wary of, but it is one that is far more sophisticated today than 10 years ago. And there are many producers within that supply chain that are
are ready to take on a much bigger role in the global marketplace.
What do you need to do in that business? Do you have to take inventory? You have to buy the inventory?
Actually, no. If you skip to, I apologize. Again, the slides weren't particularly great. Keep going. There's I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask to know the number of the slide myself. I don't know that the slide really matters, but the original model was born out of not holding inventory, and that's how we've done it in Marrakesh. Because we are we're sharing the story of sort of slow retail, not that everything has to actually be slow delivery, but we are the opposite of, say, a Zappos, which is saying, hey, we can deliver to you the day you order. We're saying that you're going to wait for something of better quality. And we're kind of adopting
quality, it's also something differentiated. If it's something unique and something differentiated and almost has a bit of a custom feel to it, people are willing to wait for it.
So there is a customized side to it. You know, through the video we show there's a generational family in Marrakesh where the grandfather is weaving the wool on spinning the yarn on a bicycle wheel, and then it's the uncle, the two brothers that are weaving. And people are waiting for that. That's my best-selling item. It's a blanket. It's $500. I mean, I don't have a huge volume of sales so far, but that is my best-selling item, and it's also one of my most expensive items to date. I certainly want to push the envelope on price because we are speaking to a higher end. If you look at, oh, sorry, I did find it. If you go to your next slide, I think it's number 11. There's a place for working capital, and there is a place for not holding inventory. And there's a flexibility to this model. And the producers that I've talked with so far are happy to come on in different ways. So I'm going to jump to something else that you touched upon a second ago, which is scalability. And you talked about you take it, you know, you build this city by city. So what I proposed, and then I think what we found out pretty quickly, is that the core building block of our e-commerce, custom consumer-facing e-commerce sites are these city experiences that we build. And you do have to do those one at a time, but the way we're building those, one, they're long-term relationships with the designers. It is why I've been able to get designers to come on board that have never agreed to sell online before. Many of them well known, but we've also attracted designers from outside of the city experience. Almost before I could, as a solo founder, take on these stories and designer showcases, I've had people submitting to me, one, just through the designer community I already know, but also blindly submitting to me to showcase their products. So as we build our
quality control on all that, if you want to preserve a certain quality of experience on your website, you can't really completely rely on people producing the same quality of video. If they produce junk, you cannot use it.
No, I
actually resonate very much. I am probably very much in your target audience. We travel a lot and we do a lot of exotic travel, and we love these kinds of unique products. And if you come to our house, it's full of unique things from unique places.
Yes.
And I understand that what you're talking about is an opportunity, but I think the opportunity, if you actually do a bottom-up analysis on the kind of customer that you're looking for, it's actually relatively much smaller. It's definitely not $6 billion. It's not a $6 billion market. So you have to understand that and the other thing is the scalability factor needs to be thought through very carefully. On the other hand, you don't need to do a scalable business. You can do a business, and I think there is definitely a business here.
I can't do that. Where I look at scalability is, one, in bringing on the artisans. You can, I don't know if right, on board, bring on the artisans pretty aggressively. Scalability is here. Now, this doesn't show sort of chronologically, but unlike a fab.com or Daily Grommet, they're scaling, maybe the Jocelyn or One King's Lane, where it is, here's our product and we sell it to our e-commerce customer. B2C is certainly my I think, the big focus initially. but I already have requests from the B2B. Can you become a curated, New York gift show for your small retailers, your trade customers? I have a reputation within the trade industry already that we can build off of. Granted, on scalability, you want to build beyond me as an individual. And then
I like that. I like the idea of catering to small boutiques as their kind of source, but then it puts you on the wholesaler end, and obviously the margins are also different.
The margins are different. Even within the B2C, bringing on your different designers who have the ability to work different margins with different people. There's a lot of flexibility in here, but it all comes from the same, people say, be focused, but if you can create multiple revenue streams off of the same investment in content and community.
Yes, I agree with that.
So,
I like what you're doing. I think there is a business there. How scalable it is, I don't know. We need to, create some sort of a model, a TAM model, a bottom-up TAM model. But there is definitely a business here, and it's something that I would love to see, come to bear.
Yeah, it really resonates with people. I'm sensing I'm toward the end of my time.
Okay.
Say again?
We're going to need to move on to the next presenter, but go ahead and very quickly, I think you have something here that you want to discuss.
Well, I just had more of a fun piece, but if you go back one slide, I always looked at travel and the offline experience as something that wasn't necessarily scalable, but it was a very VIP, handheld experience. But when we launched Marrakesh, what we found is people were wanting to pay me for information about travel to Marrakesh and itinerary. And we took our first revenue on building an itinerary over a couple of hours, connecting them with the people they needed. Small amount of revenue, but easily reproducible, which was interesting to me. We also got we got a lot of unsolicited press right out of the gate, which leads me to say we have a story to tell. And then I'll just jump and say, yes, we have launched and we are raising a seed round now. That's it. Thank you so much.
My one comment on that one would be that be careful about getting into too many businesses. Travel itineraries, this custom travel design, that's a very different business than the e-commerce business that you're trying to do. And if you spread yourself thin and in that many directions, things are going to get out of hand, and you won't be able to manage them.
I completely agree. The travel came through a boutique travel company, so they did all the arrangements, and I simply created the itinerary, which again can just be used again and again, and handed everything off to my people on the ground in Marrakesh. So it struck me as I never looked at it as the scalable sort of side, but it presented itself, and so I just thought that was an interesting facet. I definitely get that there's a chronological order to things.
I'll tell you one thing. This is for all of you who are listening. There are lots of things that are opportunistic ways of making money. Some of the successes of a business rest on making decisions to say no to those opportunities.
Yes,
and
I hear you. Thank you.
On your core vision. Okay, Kay, we're going to really have to move on. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks all.
The last presenter is Raj Arora. Raj, come online and tell us what you're doing.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear fine?
Hi. Hi, this is Raj, and I'm going to present here. And first of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present the business. Company name is dreamsport.tv. As the name says, it's about sports and it's about content for the sport. Next slide, please. So the main problem, we're focusing on Indian market, and the biggest problem, two other major problems. First of all, Indian culture is really not that supportive of sports. Second is cricket is the one that is very much participate, and other sports don't get a chance, don't get exposure to be introduced at the early age to the audience. So we're tackling these two challenges. A third one, also a challenge for the international organizations who want to penetrate Indian market beyond cricket. They don't find any kind of platform where they can have equal footage along with the cricket. So a 9-year-old being introduced to sport, right now he's just being introduced to cricket, but if he's being introduced to all the 15, 20 sports, he would have much better opportunities picking up with something that he's more comfortable with. Next slide, please. So we're tackling the problem in 3 ways. First of all, we provide opportunity to learn very easily, very efficiently, and on his own. Second is give them opportunity to participate. So we offer free equipment and opportunity to participate, and then we like them to share their excitement. Whatever they performed, whatever they competed in, they can share online. Our first stage focus is to build a learn platform. That's where we are focused on for the last 6 months, and we'll continue working on this direction before we move on to participate platform. Next slide, please. So the way we like to monetize, our business model work is we give them the opportunity to learn, and they participate and share. We monetize the contents for the learning. Then we track the progress, what they make through online as well as offline activities. And then we also monetize the data and provide a solution to stakeholders like e-commerce, Nike or Reebok, anybody who's targeting a 9+-year-old audience. Next slide, please.
What format does the offering take? Are you running academies of different sports disciplines?
Yes. So I should have posted the picture here with the website. So it's a website, and you just described very clearly. User would be offered all the sports through a menu, and he can pick one sport, and then very easy for him to go back and pick another sport. But as long as he's on the one sport, he will see very structured content by skills, by preferences, by academies. So he can follow one single academy, or he can.
So you are not offering the academy. You're just offering kind of like a portal of where they can go to learn what.
Right. We don't want to get into the content development business. We are content creator, and we work with the organizations and the vendors and coaches who have built the content and like to monetize it. YouTube is not a format, not a platform they like to, because they see the monetary value of the contents, and YouTube is not the one they like to target.
So what are they paying for? They're paying for a vertical search engine of sorts?
No, they're paying for the contents. So we share revenue with them. Every single view is being monetized. I'll come to the monetization slide as well. So as we're focusing on the Learn platform, the contents. So we curate the contents, we structure them, we offer multiple academies, and we sell these site licenses to the schools. And school pay $1 per user per month for all the sports, compared to $20 or $15 or $10 for a single sport by all these academies that are being offered online. So,
but the academies are not being offered online. They are.
They are.
They have to go and get their own membership for the academy separately.
No, I'm talking about online academies. The company called PlaySport TV Sports School. They're in a similar business, but they have their own proprietary contents from single source. And what we offer is a platform.
How can you learn sports on just by watching videos? You have to go play. If I want to play table tennis, I can't watch a video of table tennis.
Right. So you probably need to ask the people who actually learn the sport through watching these YouTube videos, because that's how, when there's no source available for somebody who's located at different place where there's no coaching available, he can afford the 500 rupees per hour per coach. This is the source for them to learn the sports. And when we're talking about India, not U.S., so many people, especially rural areas or anyone beyond the tier 1 city, has a hard time finding a coach or a good source of learning of sports. And this is not about learning sport. This is about making the student, the audience, comfortable with the sport. A 9, 10-year-old looking at his contents and learn the basics of it, he becomes very comfortable, and he's more likely to pick a sport. Okay. That's a challenge we are overcoming.
And you have some validation that that kids are willing to do that online?
We have validation from all kinds of sources you can imagine, from the national level teams to government officials to schools to the parents to the students, as well as people who have gone through their career through sports. So
I'm not refuting the point that that people in rural areas want to learn sports. I know this very well because my father is one of the masterminds behind the Indian table tennis.
Wow.
You know,
okay, great.
Look at Bengal's table tennis emergence. He kind of brought Bengal up from nothing to winning most of the titles in the nationals.
Right.
And he worked on the district levels to get it all kind of teed up. So the whole mastermind of the kind of thing that you're talking about in table tennis, I watched him do through the last 30, 40 years. So I know exactly what you're talking about from a need point of view. The question I'm asking you is, what is the evidence that people are willing to learn this through online/video mechanisms?
So we spoke to people in 20s now, and people who have competed at national level, competed at the state level, and we asked them exactly how did you perform, how did you learn? Did you have any coaching platform? Did you attend academies? All came back that YouTube has been our source of the content. So far, whatever we could find on YouTube, we trained ourselves.
That was one of the kind of interest generators, you're saying?
Right. It's an interest generator. It's a confidence builder. It's an opportunity for a 9, 10, 12-year-old person to say, hey, I can do it. And next step for him to pick up equipment and now play.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
So the way we focus, the way we position ourselves is right here. Most of the content developers, they're very much in the user engagement, but don't really get into the learning or participation. Most academies are not into the accumulation of data, but they support learning. So we are clearly at a point we can combine both these offerings and provide multiple options to the audience to move into different areas of their comfort level. Next slide, please. So right now we focus on, as mentioned, educational institutes, and the message for them is the more you perform, more you offer sports, and more better performing students you have, and later on you can promote yourself as a contributor to these personalities.
But these schools in the districts have money to pay for something like this?
So we are focusing on upper to middle end school, located tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, because of course we have to make money first, and then we can generate the revenue and go down to the food chain. So we're focusing on very top level schools where they can afford, and we're not really asking much. I know the average middle level school, not even upper, middle level school charge about 5,000 rupees per month to the as a fees to these student, and we asking 50 rupees per month additional per student per month.
And do you have any validation that they're willing to pay?
Yes. We're going to work with 2 schools now. DAV school in Archipuram, and one is international school in Noida.
Okay.
We are talking. So that's the current stage. We are validating customers. We are going through channel sales. There's 2 companies who are already selling to the institutional area, institutional sector, sports seed.
Working in the Delhi area right now, your content.
Right, Delhi area.
The Delhi area. Okay.
Right. So we are banking on channel sales to cut our sales expenses, and we'll be doing our pilot projects in these 2. As I mentioned, so far the feedback's been very great. It's just that the feedback hasn't come from the actual customer who's going to pay for it. But they do like it. They do. These 2 schools have been they provide very encouraging feedback, but we haven't really gotten a check yet. So we're still relying on doing the test market validation, and then we can say, yes, we have a sale.
Okay.
So my question is, what's the best way to work with education institutions? Because it takes a little longer, more than 3 months to really close a sale.
Yeah, but in India in general, selling to anybody is a very long sales cycle.
Right. So even though we have to discount our offering by going to channel sale, what do we think this is a better way for us to, at this time?
Whichever way you sell, direct or channel, it's going to be a lengthy sales process. So by selling through channels, you're not going to cut down on your sales cycle. You're just going to give a lot.
But at least we have access to multiple leads then. We can say, okay, we have access to these schools. We can directly speak to the principals or who the...
yeah, so try it. I would say, I think what you're offering is something quite different than what people are used to. So you're going to have to test and see how much you know, is the channel able to do the concept selling that is required to sell something like this? Oftentimes when you have something innovative and new, the channel doesn't have the expertise to sell it or the passion to sell it. You know, the best salespeople for a new concept is usually the entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So unless you get enough reference customers, if you can get, you know, the first 20, 30, 50 customers through direct sale, and you establish that, okay, now this is what we're doing, these are the case studies, and you can give those case studies to the channel to then sell with, that becomes more viable. But the first 50 sales is going to be very difficult.
Okay. One question beyond this presentation, I haven't included that aspect of the offer. We also have the Coach Connect platform, and the idea of that is the coaching in India, as we all know, that it's not that great. Even the coach platform for coaches is not there yet. So we're building a LinkedIn platform for coaches. Now they have motivation to really.
More than the LinkedIn platform, what you need for the coach is Coach Connect platform is on Yelp for coaches, because there are a lot of lousy.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what exactly the thing is. Not just the Yelp, but also they can even sell the coaching service right on the platform. So if I am a coach, I'm looking at this content. First of all, I can provide my feedback exactly what is great about this content and what not. The more I'm visible, just like LinkedIn discussion, more I'm visible to the audience, more likely I will be hired.
No, I'm talking about the coaches themselves. When I assume that one of the services from your platform is to connect students with coaches, and then the comes from the parents want to know which coach to connect them to. How does that work today? I know that, you know, all through my childhood or even today, our friends and family constantly come and ask my dad, but who do you know is a good coach in such and such area?
Right.
And he will, you know, often connect them. But you kind of need somebody who knows somebody. And if you and the way that has that particular function, if you can automate that and put that online, so that, you know, parents who are using a certain coach can review that coach, and or even kids can review that coach. You know, you can separate parents review versus kids review. Those kinds of things are very helpful in selecting which coach to go with or which academy to go with.
Right. We do have Yelp system, kind of rating system and the comment system in place, but the question is how to really start generating those reviews, because the coaches has the history of really performing well. So how to really import the existing data from some third party where the coach already has his reviews in place. That's probably something we can look at. So that already built gives him repetition right there online to begin with, instead of him to start focusing on building repetition and inviting others.
Well, anyway, so I think I understand what you're trying to do. It's interesting, definitely very interesting.
Thank you.
And as you can tell, I have some direct experience with this stuff, so I can, you know, I can relate with it also.
Okay.
That's cool.
Now, do you think you can help us in any regard by getting into the sales cycle, or anywhere you think we are missing something or something we haven't thought through?
You're missing lots of things right now. So I'm going to talk about just a second. Let me, we're going to go, the next segment actually is the segment with how we work with entrepreneurs. So if you just hang on for a second, I will spend, you know, a good 7 minutes explaining to you how 1M works with entrepreneurs. So just listen to that, and then you can ask me questions after I'm done with that segment on that topic. Okay?
Thank you, Sramana. Okay.
So that concludes the range of presentations. I will take audience questions at the end of the session. Okay, I see some audience questions. I'll come to that in a minute. Let me first finish this segment explaining to you how to work with 1M. Before we do that, though, my sincere request to you is that if you like what we're doing, you know, you got a taste today of what we're doing. If you like what we're doing, please spread the word around that such a resource exists. Basically, we just work with 5 entrepreneurs, giving them feedback on their businesses. And this is a free platform that operates from anywhere in the world. Wherever you are, whichever corner of the world you are, you can use this resource. So please spread the word around. We can definitely use your help in getting the word around. All right, so here are the resources, the 1M resources at various levels, and how you can use us to further your objectives of becoming a successful entrepreneur. The site, the website is 1mby1m.com. That's where your journey begins. We have a blog. that is part of the, that you can access through the site, which is completely free, and it's full of, chock full of information. It's full of inspiring case studies, interviews with successful entrepreneurs, trends, learnings, all sorts of things. And we have the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, of which we've published 4 volumes, which takes some of these case studies, synthesizes them. Each volume has 12 to 16 case studies, and it analyzes and synthesizes the lessons from these case studies. And there are 2 cornerstone philosophies of the 1M1M program, and those are bootstrapping and positioning. So there are 2 volumes, actually, 1 volume dedicated to bootstrapping and 1 volume dedicated to positioning. We believe that to do a lean, capital-efficient startup, you have to get positioning right. And positioning is a very complex topic. You know, a lot of, some of you are asking in the public chat about sales cycle. How do you address sales cycle issues? Well, one of the ways you address sales cycle issues is by positioning really crisply and following the principles of positioning that get you to the best segment, which is the most ready to buy. So one of the things you will see us guiding you a lot on in the program is the right positioning, and that also helps you bootstrap. So these are, some of the screenshots from the site itself. That's the blog. The free roundtables, you can register for the free roundtables at the site. The entire roster and registration pages are there. We've been doing this for a long, long time. This is the 161st roundtable. Over 15,000 people have attended. We've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of experience in this. And on the site itself, if you look at the top navigation bar, the brown bar, you'll see the free public roundtables registration page. You will also find the 1M1M self-assessment, which is a very useful tool. I'll talk about that in a minute. So this, beyond the free program, we have a premium program. And the premium program is a $1,000 annual membership fee through which we give you access to a whole range of services. That includes extensive methodology guidance on all these topics. And that is delivered through a curriculum that is video lectures and case study based. We give you help with, this kind of strategy consulting that we're doing here that you've got a taste of. We do a lot of that in the private roundtables, which are members only. We help you with business development. We make a lot of connections to people, customers, channel partners, media analysts, and investors. We help you with financing as well if you are fundable, and if you are fundable, we help you also get ready for financing. There's a whole process in getting ready for financing and to be, investor worthy, so to speak. So that's all part of this $1,000 annual membership fee. There's no other charge in this program. We've recently published the $1 Million Club showcase of a whole lot of 1M1M entrepreneurs who have either crossed the $1 million milestone or will do so this year. So take a look at that. The link is on your screen, and Maureen will put the link in the public chat as well. We've also published a couple of collaterals where we quantify the 1M1M value equation. We kind of roll up all the different vectors along which we provide value, from education to consulting to media, PR, to peer group networking, CEO club, to funding and all of that. And if you roll all that up, it comes to a very large amount. The equation that you will see there is $375,000 of cash plus equity, potentially plus investment banking fees, and all that value you get for $1,000. So these are 2 links that will give you more details about how we deliver value along all these different vectors and what does that amount to if you actually use the program properly. The 1M1M self-assessment is a 9-point questionnaire that I recommend that all of you calibrate yourselves against. It's a simple, free questionnaire. You access it from the brown bar on top. And in that 9-point questionnaire, you will also see curriculum modules available. If you're a premium member, you can learn those topics through those curriculum modules as well. So if you come into the program, then one of the first things we want you to do is use the self-assessment to calibrate yourself and fill your knowledge gaps. Again, 1mby1m.com is the site. The premium program, you have a lot of descriptions and FAQs and all sorts of things on the site itself. You have videos, FAQ videos, all sorts of things that you can, testimonials that you can use to understand the program better. The way we deliver the curriculum is in form of case studies and video lectures. What we've done is we've, through these 161 public roundtables over the last few years, as well as all our private roundtables, we've learned a lot about what your issues are as entrepreneurs. So we've taken that body of knowledge. Since 2006, we have also been developing case studies of successful entrepreneurs. We have the largest and the most comprehensive collection of case studies anywhere in the world today in 1M1M. So there, successful entrepreneurs have come onto the forum and explained how they've been successful, how they've mitigated certain challenges. So we've triangulated these two bodies of work, the case studies as well as our coaching experience, and created a very compact curriculum through which you can learn all the topics that you need to learn to be a successful entrepreneur. And those are, you need to learn bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. Those are our core curriculum modules. You have to learn those topics. To be a successful entrepreneur, you have to learn those topics. Like we had some discussions earlier on in the show today of entrepreneurs doing things in the wrong order, building a product, spending a lot of money building a product, really jacking up the burn rate without validating with customers. That is a complete no-no. If you come into the program early in your cycle, we will make sure that's not what you do. We'll make sure that you do things in the right order and avoid making perfectly avoidable mistakes that many entrepreneurs have made over generations, and you will continue to make if you don't have people guiding you on the right path. We also have elective modules that are aligned with the trends in the industry. So in our industry, there are, in the IT and IT-enabled services areas, which is where we do most of our work, there are certain clear trends, Web 3.0 and e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, including big data, where we have a big presence, outsourcing and consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare IT, online education, gaming. These are core, areas where we see businesses, and we have elective modules along all of those in the curriculum. So our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups, and we do a lot of work in the media. So you'll find lots of coverage of our premium members. We have huge clout in the media. This is one of the areas where we provide huge value. We also give you access to our social media channel, which is huge. We have, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook channels, and we have this 200 messages a day kind of Twitter channel that we put together, and we let you put in your messages. If you're a premium member of the program, we let you put in your messages to market your product through our channel that then gets you out to over 50,000 people out there that we touch. So all this is very helpful. We do a couple of series on our blog, the Incubation Radar series for companies that are under $1 million and Deal Radar series for companies that are above $1 million. You could get visibility to customers, channel partners, and investors. A lot of investors monitor these series. So very recently, I wrote a piece on entrepreneurship in the Midwest, and one of our entrepreneurs in Michigan was featured in this story. And then he started getting calls from investors, and he came back to the private roundtable, and he's like, Sramana, I'm getting calls from investors. I'm not ready for investors. What do I now do? So, so this is, this happens quite regularly. And then we also have an affiliate program. So if any of you are actually entrepreneurship development in your particular region, in your community, you're welcome to partner with 1M1M and become one of our affiliate partners, and we'll be happy to work with you. Here are the upcoming free roundtables. Pretty much every Thursday we have a roundtable, and please feel free to sign up for one of them. One last pointer, I have a Vision India 2020 book which has $45 billion business ideas that I've published, and any of you who are interested in those ideas can actually take one of those ideas and build on it. There's actually one idea called non-cricket television, which is a sports business idea for India focused on exactly addressing the same problem of people focusing too much on cricket and the other sports being starved for attention. So, Raj, you should take a look at that. That's pretty much it as far as the formal presentation is concerned. We'll do a quick Q&A, although we are almost out of time. Please do not ask me questions privately. This is a public chat. So if you're going to ask me questions, make sure your chat is set to send to all participants. I see somebody asking me a lot of private questions. Please use the public chat to ask your questions. So let me take a quick look at the public chat and the questions that have come up. So one question is, how are these modules delivered? Are they live one-on-one interactions with you or someone else from 1M1M? So the curriculum is delivered as video lectures and case studies. The video lectures are recorded videos. The case studies are in text format. So you will be able to do those at your own time. They all have discussion areas where you can ask questions and the questions will be answered. And then the live sessions are like this, exactly the same format as this, except they're members only. They're behind the, login, basically. You need credentials to get access to the private sessions, but they are group mentoring sessions effectively. You have to book your slot to pitch and discuss and so forth, and we give you a line to call into. Troy is asking, do we have track record of closing any rounds of funding? Yes, we do. If you go to the 1 Million Club article, which is on your screen right now, if you scroll up a little bit in the public chat, Maureen has posted the $1 Million Club link. If you click on that, you will get a showcase of a variety of different companies, including those that have gained financing already. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? What can we answer to help you understand what we do better, or any other questions actually? Anybody? No? No questions? There are a lot of people in the room. It's amazing that you don't have any questions. So have we pretty much explained to you a quick one? Christina says, quick one, I hate to be presumptuous, but do other participants sign an NDA before listening in on these presentations? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We do not sign any MBAs, absolutely not a part of the program. Nobody signs NDAs. It is an absolutely, completely, totally impractical idea to sign NDAs to join these programs. Anybody else? There is no safety of a business idea anywhere, Christina. We encourage, our methodology encourages you to get out there and talk to customers and channel partners and as soon as possible, especially customers as soon as possible. So we do not believe in safety of a business idea. Unless you get out there and start validating your business, if you want to sit at your home and kind of pontificate on some business idea and think that you are safe, you are very, very mistaken. That is completely contrary to our philosophy. Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? You heard from somebody earlier in the presentation today, they built a product and did not validate with customers, and now they're having a very hard time closing. It's a wrong order of doing things. Ali Gudarzi asked, how much is the cost of membership? The cost of membership is $1,000 annual membership fee. Kay is absolutely right. Socializing your idea is exactly how you learn. You have to immerse yourself in customers, not just socializing superficially. You have to immerse yourself in customers, and that's what we'll make you do. If you join our program, we will immerse you in customers. So Ali, one thing I recommend you look at is this quantifying the 1M 1M value equation link that Maureen has put up. The $1 Million Club, quantifying the value equation. It steps you through all the different vectors in which we deliver value, and we only charge a $1,000 annual membership fee, but we deliver value in the order of, $375,000 plus equity. We don't charge equity either. Normally, to work with an incubator, you would have to part with a sizable amount of equity. Christina, customer validation absolutely should be completely targeted. There's no question about it. It's absolutely targeted. It needs to be absolutely targeted. And there is a methodology to customer validation as well. Kay says her personal experience is that by talking about her venture early on in the concept stage offered her out-of-the-box solutions and ideas. Yeah, I will agree with that. I think sitting quietly somewhere and basically chewing your thumb is not the way to build a business. Any other questions? So folks, just one quick question from our side to you is, how did you hear about us, and what did you think of what you saw today, especially if you're coming here for the first time? Christina, I think, has been here before. I've seen your name before, but if you've never been here, we'd love to know you a little bit. Where are you coming from? How did you hear about us? And if you've already shared that with us in the registration page, then it's fine. We'll pick it up there. Okay. Well, suit yourself, Christina, but sooner or later you're going to have to come out and immerse yourself in customers. That is a requirement. Ali says East Side Entrepreneurs Meetup Group. Okay, fabulous. All right. So thank you, folks, for coming, and wish you again a happy Valentine's Day and good luck with each of your businesses. We hope that you're all going to be very successful, and we would love to play a small part in that journey. Bye-bye, everybody. Talk to you soon. See you next week.